Hi everyone, thanks so much for checking out the blog again this week. So this past week has been very eventful, and the single sort of biggest event for me was that the advanced reader copies of my novel arrived on Friday. So it's now a real book, and I just wanted to show it. Last week in the blog I played a couple of pieces from Maurice Ravel's Ma Mère Loi, the Mother Goose Suite, which is one of the pieces of music that gets featured pretty extensively in To Love a Stranger. It was one of the pieces that informed the story and informed the writing. So I wanted to continue with that today as a way of celebrating the fact that the book has arrived and that it is a real book with pages and a cover and everything. And this is actually, you know, as performers, we have this sort of, you know, the ideal is to be very professional and very together and to project that sort of confidence all the time, but this is actually kind of a challenging post to do because this is an intense moment for me. I started writing this book, the first sort of sketches for it, I started writing about 9 years ago now, and over the course of working on it, you know, I've learned so much about writing. I really had no idea what I was doing when I started, and you know, it has really, just the path over the last 9 years has been so so rewarding. It's been full of challenges, you know, of course, but just the learning and the way that life kind of took a new direction for me, and that I really became quite passionate about writing, and that this became something I wanted to do more as a career. That all kind of started 9 years ago with this project, and so this is just very powerful for me to actually get to see the book. It's really here. So I wanted to play another movement from Ma Mère Loi. I wanted to play specifically the fourth movement. Last week I talked about how what Ravel does in this piece is he has 5 movements in the suite, and each of the 5 movements was inspired by a particular fairy tale. So he was using the fairy tales as a way of giving himself musical ideas and then kind of translating the fairy tales into music. So last week I played the first 2 movements of the suite, and today I'd like to play the movement that is particularly central to Love a Stranger. The fourth movement is called Conversations Between Beauty and the Beast. So that is the fairy tale that Ravel is using to create this particular piece of music. And I wanted to precede that by actually reading an excerpt from the book where that piece is featured. So this is from, it's about a quarter of the way in, and what's happening here, so my 2 main characters are Sam and Jeanette, and they're both musicians. They have met fairly recently, and they are colleagues. They've become friends, they've been playing duets together, they've been getting closer as people. Sam in particular really struggles with who he is. He is estranged from his family, he's feeling very alone, and he struggles with himself both in terms of the choices that he's made in his life, but also just more profoundly with the person that he is. And so he is really torn about telling his personal truths to Jeanette and being really honest with her about who he is. And so the moment that I'm going to be reading from, the point in the story that I'm going to be reading from, what's happening is that Sam and Jeanette are at his apartment, and he is really feeling very conflicted, and he's wanting to tell her, you know, wanting to confide in her and to be honest with her, but finding that he just can't face that. And so he specifically wants to play this particular duet with her. This is a way of communicating without words, because it's so difficult for him to open up, you know, that way. So they're going to play this piece together, and it's over the course of the playing that Sam is kind of struggling with these various feelings. So I'd like to just read the part where the piece is featured, and then I'd like to play it for you. As I mentioned, this piece was originally written for 4 hands, and so playing it Two hands is a little challenging, and it may not be the most perfect rendition, but it'll give you a sense of what this piece is about. So here's the excerpt. At the piano, Sam opened the music to the fourth movement, Conversations of Beauty and the Beast. Jeanette took off her shoes and came over to the bench. She reached for the switch on the brass stand lamp. He caught her wrist. Let's not. But it's dark. There's sunlight, he said. There was from the street lamp outside. Please, just for now. She gave in. They sat on the bench together in the dark, and Sam looked up at the excerpt of the fairy tale written at the top of the page. Beauty said to the Beast, "When I think of your good heart, you do not seem so frightening to me." The piece had a simple tune. Jeanette's part didn't even use the left hand. You could easily imagine two children playing it. "Oh yes," the Beast said, "I do have a good heart, but I'm a monster." Sam felt the years drop quietly away behind him. All the times when he had hopelessly remembered home, it had felt as far away as the moon. Now it seemed that the thinnest, most fragile barrier stood between him and the place where he most wanted to be, the place where he used to be safe. He could melt that barrier with a fingertip. "Many men," Beauty said, "are far more monsters than you." Sam's part changed. The gentle waltz of the opening faded away. His hands went down into the lowest register of the piano and struck harsh, clashing chords. The Beast's voice. More monstrous than him? Maybe. Right now, Sam did not believe it. He would have closed his eyes if he could, but then he would have lost his place in the music. He stared at the page and willed his fingers to keep moving. "Beauty," the Beast said, "will you be my wife?" Jeanette's part came back in. It was as gentle as it had been at the beginning, but now his part growled under it like the bogeyman in the closet. "No, Beast, I cannot marry you." She shouldn't, that was for sure. The sweet girl should not chain herself to the monster. The two parts moved together. Ravel had skipped over the part of the story where Beauty left the Beast's castle, and the villagers came with their torches and pitchforks. The narrative picked up again when the Beast lay dying, in the same garden where Beauty had walked among the flowers. "I can die content," the Beast said, "because I have seen you again." "No, my dear Beast, you must not die, for I love you." After the climax, there was a moment of stillness before Jeanette's hand moved down for glissando. Sam didn't move his fingers away in time. She brushed them lightly. The Beast disappeared. At Beauty's feet was a handsome prince, freed from his enchantment by love. Sam and Jeanette did not need to look at each other in the last measures to set the chords down in perfect unison. They held the last one until the sound disappeared. Now Sam could close his eyes. He let go of the keys and did it. And there was home, a million miles away, and Ma's face and her tears, and Gil on the hospital bed, and Dad. What had Sam done to them all?